Also happening last week out at NREC, producers and educators were on hand to discuss grazing cover crops at this year's Cover Crop Grazing Conference. This expo seeks to assist first-time or experienced farmers looking to fine-tune their cover crop grazing management by utilizing cover crops as an alternative forage source. For more on this story, we turn to Market Journal's Bill Dodd. Bill?
Thanks, Bryce. That's right. Last week, guest speakers and panelists addressed important issues for Nebraska farmers and ranchers by presenting attendees with research-based information, as well as a productive panel discussion with Nebraska producers on the best practices for utilizing cover crops. Grazing cover crops isn't a new trend by any means. However, this is a practice that started to decline nearly a half-century ago. Now, this particular program delivered information to area producers on ways cover crops can help prevent soil erosion, improve nutrient cycling, and help the environment as well as the producer's bottom line.
So the purpose of today's conference is, grazing cover crops is kind of an older thing that we let go by the wayside for a little while. 50 years ago, we used to utilize it to feed cows and went away from that as we saw grain prices go higher. And then as we've started to look at more of a systems approach to agriculture, we're able to utilize cover crops to not only graze during times when we wouldn't potentially be able to graze, but also to give back and promote soil health as well.
The day's event was set up to tackle issues found most pressing by attendees. Topics of interest for this conference were selected due to the results of a recent producer survey. Now, by focusing on what producers were concerned about, two main topics at this event centered on rotational and strip grazing, as well as grazing perennial and annual forages.
So we had two keynote speakers. The first one was Ben Beckman, and he spoke on sectional and rotational grazing. And then also Brad Schick. Both of them are extension educators, and Brad spoke on the usage of annual and perennial forage crops. And the reason that we chose these is because we've held focus groups and utilized some of the survey data from last year's program, and these are the things that the producers here in eastern Nebraska felt were pertinent for them to know to take back to their operations.
While the lecture portion of the series is educational and informative, there's always something to be said for peer-to-peer conversation and feedback. Now, this portion of the conference gave attendees a great opportunity for a very productive small group discussion.
I think that it not only allows the attendees to get into a more conversational mode, to be able to ask the questions that are specifically on their mind rather than a lecture style complete program. So we do that so they can get some feedback and create a discussion between people who are utilizing cover crops in their day-to-day production agriculture to speak with other people who maybe want to learn. And so this program is set up for those who have never grazed cover crops before and those who have been doing it for years and are looking to find out more information on it.
Beyond keynote speakers and panel discussions, attendees were also treated to a live field demonstration that really helped put current cover crop research into context and gave producers some hard evidence to run with when devising their own cover crop strategies.
We have some mixes of cover crops that we've been planting for about 5 years now, and just look at the nutritive value of those different mixes and what they can do for producers on their farms and how they can graze those. And then also some of the research that Dr. Mary Dranowski is doing here at the Eastern Nebraska Research Extension and Education Center to learn a little bit more about some of the data that we've collected here at the university.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about options for grazing cover crops, you can find everything you might want to know about the subject by visiting CropWatch and beefwatch.unl.edu. And if you'd like to learn more about any future conferences or extension field days, you can stay up to date on the latest extension events by visiting the Nebraska Extension Calendar webpage by following the URL there at the bottom of your screen. Now, we've also taken the liberty of posting that link along with this story on the Market Journal website. Bryce, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks for those highlights, Bill. We'll have some additional information from this year's Cover Crop Grazing Conference in the coming weeks.